In the world of guitar effects, a lot of it is down to personal preference as to what effects you like and what effects you don't. But there are some that really are Marmite. People either love them or hate them. And when I think about that category, there's a few that fall into that, like ring mod. I don't think I'm ever gonna love how that one sounds. But then again, there is another effect that I thought I would never love. Fuzz. For me, fuzz was just never a sound that I really liked. It was always too harsh and too loose sounding in comparison to the overdrives and distortions I was used to. Sure, there may have been some characteristics that I enjoyed, but overall, I just didn't gel with fuzz really at all. And it wasn't like I didn't try either. The effects that you've heard there in the demo of the ring mod and the fuzz, they came from the Line 6 Helix, but that's because I don't actually have any physical units of those pedals because, well, I didn't like them. But I did try. I've tried some expensive and rare fuzz pedals in the past, like the Boss Tone Bender. That's a rare and expensive one, and it's probably my least favourite of the ones that I tried. I tried a Vemoran Myriad fuzz, I've tried big muffs, I've tried fuzzes, and it's never been something I've enjoyed. But now fast forward to NAMM 2024, and I meet Peter Ahrens. Now, if you haven't heard of Peter Ahrens, you have heard of his work. He's worked designing a range of amplifiers for Bad Cat. He worked with Boutique Amp Distribution, working on Soldano stuff, Tone King amps, Synergy modules, and more. And he even has his own company, Amp Pete Switchers, for amp switchers. In other words, he's very good at what he does. So I meet Peter, and he had these prototype fuzz pedals that he wanted to show me. And I said then, I'm not really that much of a fan of fuzz pedals. And he was like, just try them, these are different. And they were. I was so impressed with how these pedals sounded and played that I put them in my top 5 things that I saw at NAMM. Me, a guy who doesn't like fuzz, put the fuzz pedals in the top 5. And then I waited for these pedals that had been in my head since I played them to be released. Flash forward to the summer of 2024, and I'm in Los Angeles visiting family, and I get an email from Peter saying, hey, remember those pedals that you liked? Well, I've made some changes, and I'm thinking, oh no, they were perfect. But actually, you'll see in a second that the changes were actually kind of cool. Opened up some more versatility. But still, he offered me the chance to try out these new and improved pedals, and, well, I jumped at it, because the sound had been in my head since I played them in January. So I went down to Long Beach, California, met up with Peter, and played these new pedals for probably too long. And then I waited. And now, the wait is over. The pedals are here. These are the Automat pedals. This is the Rara Avis and the TripleGanger. And I don't really do pedal demos that often, very rarely, but these are ones that I've been excited to do since January 2024. I've been waiting for this moment. Now, full disclosure, Peter did send me both of these pedals. I didn't buy them, but that is not going to change my opinion on them, because my opinion has stayed the same since I first played the prototypes like a year and a half ago. They're good. I really like them. Now, I'm fully aware this has been a very long intro, and I'm sure you're just itching to hear these pedals in a full demo, and that'll be there in just a second. But first, there are some physical features that I think are worth noting. Firstly, they come in a very fancy box. The boxes are really thick, just all around premium. They even have magnetized closing. Now, is that all that important? No, but it is an indication for the rest of the pedals that there isn't really any corners cut here. The pedal chassis are both custom made. They're not just a generic size, shape. These are completely custom to Automat stuff. That's just a nice, cool feature. And here they are among some other pedals to just give you kind of a general size reference. And it's not just the chassis that are custom either, even the knobs are custom molded. So these aren't just your generic knobs, they can only come on these pedals. That's expensive to do, that is difficult to do, and it's downright impressive. It's a small thing, but it is kind of indicative of the whole thing. There's no corners being cut here. So for the tones in this video, I'm going to be running through the Zuta GBG 120 on the clean channel and running that through a 2 notes Torpedo Captor X with an impulse of a Marshall 4x12. Let's start with the Rara Avis. On the surface, it is a pretty straightforward fuzz pedal, but this is the pedal that changed everything for me. This made me like fuzz tones. It's got 6 knobs and 4 of them are kind of self-explanatory. We have treble, bass, output, and gain. But then you have filter, which is more of a EQ curve of the overall fuzz. And remember I said that Peter changed something in the prototype? Well, the original one didn't have this. This is the bias knob, and he added this, and it's actually a really cool feature. So it changes the whole versatility of the fuzz. If you roll it all the way off, if you put it down, that makes this fuzz more in the vein of a classic fuzz, the type of fuzz that I don't really like. But with that knob, you can roll it up and you can get any mixture between that, and if you roll it all the way up completely, that gives it a full sound that I've never heard before, and it's what makes me fall in love with this pedal. That's the setting that I'd have. It also gives it a little bit more gain. It tightens everything up. It's just... And also on the front of this pedal, you've got a lean and a big switch. Lean kind of tightens things up more so. Big makes it feel a little bit wider. I'll demonstrate. Now, personally, my favourite thing about this pedal is how it responds to the volume knob. You can max out your gain and get just a searing lead tone, like full-on fuzz distortion, and then you can roll down your volume on your guitar, and just through that, you can clean up your guitar entirely. And you can just go from completely clean to straight up distortion just on rolling on your volume knob. And it isn't just clean to distortion, you've also got that middle ground where it's kind of overdriven almost. It means that, like, with this pedal and a volume knob, you've got huge versatility. It's really fun to play. Like, it even adds like this sustain for leads. It's just so good. Now moving on to the TripleGanger Parallel Triple Fuzz. This is a little bit more complicated, and it's a bit different from the Rara Avis. Even physically, it's just a little bit wider to accommodate these two foot switches. And the switch colours are, on 1 you've got red, and on 2 you've got green. And if I was to criticise anything in this, I would say that the green is quite a bit brighter than the red. The LED is a little bit more powerful, and in dark scenarios it can kind of overpower the other LED on the pedal. So that's about as critical as I can be here, because the rest of it's pretty darn good. It might look a little daunting with the number of controls, but it's actually quite simple once you figure out the different sections. So first and foremost, you've got these 3 knobs: output, treble, and bass. And those are your master, EQ, and output. So that's pretty straightforward. Then on the top, you've got a level and fuzz for both sides. Level and fuzz for side 1, level and fuzz for side 2, and they are controllable via foot switch. So let's try with side 1, level and fuzz. We'll just mess around there and see what we can get. Now for side 2 it is a little bit different, just a couple more complications. So you still have your level and fuzz which you can mess around with, but you also have this little switch here. Now this switch is a 3-way switch and you can select between splatter, octave and double. Now at the moment, just when you've got one fuzz engaged, your side 2 is engaged and your side 1 is off, between splatter and double it's the same. Those are only working in conjunction with the other fuzz, which I'll explain in a second. So at the moment I'm just going to show you the difference between side 2 on with splatter or double, it will sound the same, and then switching into octave. It just it's a different type of fuzz. So what are these splatter and double then? Well, when you've got both sides of the pedal on, you've got two fuzzes going, and when you've got it on splatter, fuzz 2 is out of phase with fuzz 1. And when you've got it in double, fuzz 2 is in phase with fuzz 1. So I'll show you those together and you can hear the difference. Now you're probably thinking, this is a triple fuzz, and I've only shown you two fuzzes, side 1, side 2. Where is this third fuzz? And it's right here. On the 8th knob you've got a sub, and you can roll that in to taste. You can go full all in, and it's very powerful. Or you can just have it subtly a little bit lower. But that is a third fuzz. And you can assign that to either side, side 1, side 2, or both, and that's through this foot switch here, or this little 3-way switch here. And my personal preference is to have side 1 just be its own thing, because side 1 is kind of a little bit lower, a little bit less gainy, so it's almost overdrivey fuzz. And then side 2, I like to add in the sub. I like to have it pretty high up. And once you click that in, you go from 1 fuzz to 3 fuzzes, and it's just a punch, really almost like synthy octave. It's pretty cool. Now, the TripleGanger is very different to the Rara Avis. Like, the fuzzes in here are not the same as the fuzzes in here, so they are different. If you've got a preference, you're not going to be able to get this sound out of this, and you're not going to be able to get... Actually, you probably could get some of this sound out of this, but not the octave or the sub. So they do different things. They are two very different things. And initially, if you asked me what my preference was, I would have been swayed towards the Rara Avis. But after spending some time, I'm really enjoying the TripleGanger. I think both these pedals really have something to offer here. And they've kind of convinced me about fuzz. But I'm all too aware that this is a personal preference. So drop in the comments below which you prefer, the Rara Avis or the TripleGanger. At the moment, I'm leaning towards the TripleGanger after playing it and spending some extra time with it, but let's see. So, I don't really do pedal demos very often, so I hope it was okay. It's a bit strange in trying to structure stuff when you haven't done it really before or did it years ago, so I hope it was alright. A huge thank you to Peter for sending these out. I'm a big fan. You can check out his pedal company, new pedal company, Automat Pedals, at the link in the description below. And these are like made in Long Beach, California. They are good sounding pedals, so check them out. And a huge thank you to you for watching as well. So if you liked the video, you can like it, you can subscribe if you want, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye bye.